Hello and welcome to another video on lesson planning. Today we're going to look at what a team teacher lesson plan looks like. So first let's kind of go over the boxes that I have at the top here. Obviously I've got myself that created this class lesson, and the lesson title is basically a title I've just taken from the book. It's my first version and it's for a 40-minute class. Now, this lesson is for the Semester 2 book, and it's for a Grade 1 class in the Chinese public school. And it should work out to be about week 3 of Semester 2. And it's going to be for 40 plus students, which will be in my class. And it's Unit 2, Module 1 of the book. The topic is going to be hearing and farm animal sounds. So that leads into my target language. And my target language is twofold. I want them to understand and use the structure, what do you hear? I hear blah, 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 plus the farm animal sounds. And I've got two lesson goals. One is for students to be able to identify and produce a variety of animal sounds. When I mean identify, is I want them to identify the sound, but also I want them to identify the word of the sound. So a cow says moo, I want them to be able to identify M-O-O, moo, the word. And also my second goal is for students to use the structure, what do you hear? I hear in correspondence with these farm animal sounds, as per the Chinese public school book. Now, what I have to work with, I have a computer, I've got my whiteboard, I've got a USB, my PowerPoint, my Blackboard, and my chalk. Basically, what most foreign teachers would have in a Chinese public school. Okay, and let's have a look at the top part here. First is your step. I'm actually using my slides. I just export them from my PPTs into a Word document, so it's easy to understand for other teachers what slide they should be on. And this is my warmer. I do it at the start of every class. Basically, I greet the students. We go over the class rules, like I will have them say and do actions that correspond to the class rules. This is when I put them into teams based on their columns. Normally I've got about 4 teams because I've got 4 columns of students. And if I feel this class is maybe lacking in material from the public school book, I will play a song or a game from the previous class as a review to kind of pad things out. And those are my actions. That all comes under the action column in what I'm going to do and what I want the students to do. The third column is anticipated problems and solutions. So often a good thing to do before teaching a class and when planning for a class is to kind of think back onto previous problems you had with students or language points and for ways to overcome them, or anything you've kind of picked up from experience that might be difficult, and possible ways that you can work around that, and also time, so you can kind of see how much you should allocate for this particular segment. And the next part after my warm-up is my presentation. My presentation is when I'm introducing this target language. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate the target language of what do you hear? I hear a teacher, because I'm talking. And then I'm going to have all the students do a whole class drill and say this target language for me. And then I'm going to start moving on to the individual animal sounds. We'll do whole class review and whole class drill, and then I will start to do individual team drills. And this is going to take me about 10 minutes to get through this. And I will encourage students to participate by giving them points based on their participation. So more students participate in saying this structure and doing the animal sounds and making the animal actions, the more points that they get for their team. One of the things that I've noticed is with the youngest students here in China is that they forget to use the article, like a or an or the. So what I do is when I give structures, I will actually count off the words of the structure on my fingers. So I hear a cow. That's 4 words, so I will count 4 words using my fingers. And often students will follow me along with this.
I hear a hen! Wow, I like it. I love it. And hen, they say. Okay, sheep tiger. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good.
So I've had 10 minutes of presentation now. They've done a lot of TPR, they've done a lot of drilling and repeating. It's fun, but now it's time to change something different and step up a gear. So I'm wanting them to go into practice. So first, I want them to identify the words of the animal sounds. So I'll have the students listen to these animal sounds from the PPT and identify which word is the corresponding word to that sound. And I'll move between teams and give everyone an equal chance to identify these words. And my anticipated problem with this is these words, they don't normally use these words. Moo is not an everyday word, even for an English speaker. So I actually included numbers by the side of the words 1, 2, 3. So if they can't pronounce the animal sounds, they can actually just say the numbers. And if they say the numbers, I will just have them quickly repeat the sound word as well. And it's 2 minutes, so it's a very quick game. After that, I want them to identify the sound of the animal. What animal is it that's making the sound? What do you hear? This one, I want them to more use the structure I hear are. That's the most important thing. I don't really anticipate any problems with this as they've already learnt about these farm animals. We're just learning about the animal sounds now. And you'll start to notice that my practice is very short, 2 minutes. This is because I'm wanting to keep their attention. I'm wanting to change things up fast, so they will keep the flow running well through my class. Now I'm going to go on to a song. I chose the song Bingo. This is because they previously learnt the song in the book on page 9. So this is the song from the book they should know. So they should be invested in singing it, and I don't have to explain it that much. That means they get to sing it more times. So I will always repeat a song at least 2 times for the students to sing, the second time of which I will give points based on the amount of students that are singing in a particular team. But there are many variations of bingo on YouTube that you can download from there. I just suggest that you get one with the lyrics on the screen for them to follow along, even if they know it. So my presentation of practice got split up there by the song, which gives me a break, and then I go back to speaking and with the practice. Now, it's always good for students to practice numbers or to practice alphabets. So I will always throw in some sort of how many number practice game in there. This one is basically a how many animals there are. And again, it's 2 minutes, very fast. And this one is another sound identifier game, but it's actually with animals that they've learned from a previous unit in semester 1. So my focus here is to make sure that they're using the structure I, hear, and then we move on to a sound memory game. So this is a memory game with a twist in that they've got to match a picture of a word of an animal with the sound of an animal. It doesn't really relate so much to the structure that I'm using or the farm animal sounds, apart from the animals that are farm animals in this particular exercise. But what I'm doing here is I'm using vocabulary, words, and structures from previous units. So we're building their English vocabulary, their lexi, their sentence structures, and we're weaving all of these together. I want them to learn and link these words so they have like almost collocations. Now, at this point, I'm going to be looking at the time on my watch, and if I'm running short on time, I can cut this memory match game short. If I'm running longer on time, I can kind of extend it out. So this is kind of my padding practice exercise, if you will. The important exercise that I really want to do is to actually go into my production, my review of the whole lesson, if you may. It's a basically sound charade, if you like. What I'll do is I'll demonstrate a couple of times. I, hear, and I will make some animal noises and get the students to identify the animal sounds, just like we've practiced earlier. But then I will put my own hand up and say, who wants to try? I can try. And obviously some students will put their hands up to try. I'll bring them up to the front and I'll have them make the animal sound just like I have just done as an example, and get other students to identify what that sound that this student has made. And then every time that a student gives a correct answer, they get to come up and make an animal sound. It's very fun for them. It's very fun for the teacher as well, especially because they still tend to be quite bad at making these animal sounds, but they also like to make their actions as well. Whatever, it's something that's fun for them, and it completely removes the teacher from the scenario. I give lots of points based on them participating and coming up and giving answers. And I'll try and do this for as long as I can, but then towards the end of the class, if they've got many points and they've been very well behaved per my rules, I will show a class funny video. I like to show Shaun the Sheep, especially with the grade ones, because it doesn't have any English in there. It's very short, like 5 minutes, and it's very funny and it's lots of fun, and they really enjoy it. And a note that I want to make is that you've got to really make a big deal out of the point system. If you're not into it, and for being number one, if you don't congratulate them, the students won't be into it as well. So this was my lesson plan, and I have to admit that I don't lesson plan so much nowadays, as I've been teaching for a while. This is how I would lesson plan if I was to write things down, but mostly it's done within my head because I'm always following that same structure of presentation, practice, and production. So I hope you found this useful. Below, you should find the link for this PPT, and maybe you can try out my lesson plan and see how it works for you. Remember, everyone has their own different teaching style, and that doesn't mean it's wrong or it's right. It's just whatever works best for you.